Fired up.
Yep. Welcome everybody to the Tagline podcast. My name is, of course, the Meerkat Monarch, sometimes known as Jay's Lillevik, and with me, as always, is my friend.
Gene, the angry penguin. Uh, and today we're gonna shit on one of my beloved childhood series. Uh,
Yes. Well, not shit on, because we're starting at the beginning, so there'll be a lot of gushing as well. But we'll get there. As those people that actually followed my tweets earlier today, I rewatched Resurrection, and yes, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. Damn it, we got to do it in order.
and since we're talking about, we'll probably get into the thematics of the Alien series. If you don't know, that means we're not approaching this from any political perspective, but we will get into the concept of the theme of Alien. And if you
Yes,
don't know that, you're
yeah,
in for a treat. Uh,
yeah, and it is. It let's just start with the first one because it is my perspective of the first Alien movie is that it's sort of the corporate America type of dealy using the the proletariat, for a lack of a better word, it, for its own
well,
gains.
it's it's
I mean
it's
the main characters in the movie are, I almost said the game. Damn it! I've been playing way too many video games as of late. Um, the main the main characters in the movie are, salvage guys. They are salvage workers. They
well,
are,
I mean, that's one of the things about Ripley and the rest of the cast in the first film, is they're blue collar. They're
yeah,
definitely blue collar. They are not uh they're not even really engineers. Some of them are mechanics and stuff, but
yeah,
they're not. They're highly paid because they lose years of their life to transport this cargo. They're basically space truckers.
yes. That is a very good way of describing them. I mean, they they're not, they're not intellectuals on any stretch of the imagination. I mean, they're smart. They're well written characters. In the first movie, the Ridley Scott one, which I love, by the way. They're not
And
what?
and I was gonna say this is another thing. Like we talked about Star Wars last week. The late '70s were just
Oh
the
yeah.
glory days.
Oh, they were.
You
I
know.
mean, they storytelling was at a forefront because it had been such a long time since any sort of huge advancement were done in movie technique. So it became more about the writing of the story because the wow factor of having a movie in color or a lot of sort of model effects and so on. It wasn't that big of a deal anymore because they've seen a lot, and especially when Alien came along, they had there had been a lot of new thinking ways of shooting horror in Jaws, and there had been a new way of looking at genre movies in Star Wars. So Alien was kind of the natural progression of the science fiction genre. They started to look more into what was out there that could really hurt us.
Yeah, and then you throw in a little of Geiger's twisted imagination
Yeah.
for the creature imagery, and you have the perfect rape analogy film.
Yes. And for those
And
wondering about,
nobody should kid themselves.
yeah,
Yeah, nobody should kid themselves. The underlying theme of the Alien film
yes,
is violation.
and no, it's hugging. I mean, they're called face huggers. For God's sakes, come on. It's not that
Yes.
hard. They're just snuggle movies. We all know this.
Look,
This is
I'm
known.
not
This
sure.
is true.
I'm not sure snuggling involves that much unwanted penetration. Uh,
No,
but
that
yeah,
is
yeah.
good point. Good point. Well made.
Not to belabor the fact there, but yeah, that is definitely a theme in this film. I mean, they're getting screwed by the aliens. They're getting screwed by the company they work for. You know,
Yeah, they are run over on all sides. I mean, they have this, and the thing is, there's a lot of techno fear or technophobia in. I mean, the fear of technology and the fear of the sort of the fear of science, because the one scientist on board is the droid, is the character of oh god, me and names. I should really research things before I start talking.
shh, don't let them know that it's not something we do. Um,
Yeah, but the point is, he's the sneaky character. He's the one that nobody trusts. And it turns out, he is a product of science as well. He's the sort of everything that people see as bad in science, in that small containment that is his body. He is the sneaky scientist in the beginning, and then he's the product of that company that they don't trust at all. That's there to secure something, or has a hidden agenda all the time, and
well,
that runs through all of the movies.
well, I think it runs through all the movies on one level because of after the first film, I think it stays as a theme, as we'll discuss, because the writing gets lazy as time goes on.
Yes, yes,
I think it's less sticking to the original film and being not creative enough to branch away from the original story, uh, in any real deeply creative way.
yeah. I'd have to agree with you on that. I mean, the first the first movie is so well written and so well thought out as well. It's hard to. I mean, there are flaws with them, and I will. I am going to rant about a movie a little bit later in the podcast, so I'm gonna save it. But they aren't. They aren't. They don't ruin the experience of the movie. The few flaws that I can remember are just. It's technical aspects, and it's not even that much of a niggle for me at all. The dialogue is just awesome, and the way that Ripley is written, you find her believable. You know, she's not
Well,
just
wasn't
a
Ripley?
Mary Sue type of character.
Well, I think the odd thing wasn't Ripley's character originally written as a man, if I remember in the early drafts.
I can't remember if that was actually. I mean, there were rumors about it, but I can't really remember. I know that the original idea might have included a male lead, but when
I mean,
they had
if you
written
look at the
one or two
original,
drafts, they realized it was too generic. That might have been
yeah,
the case.
and
And
for
yeah,
any writers that may be listening, go back and look at the early drafts of Alien, and then look at the final
yes,
product. Uh,
The early
creativity is not a
drafts.
one-step
No, by no means. The early drafts read like a B science fiction movie from the 1960s and 1950s and 1960s. And it grew into a much, much better franchise. And it was, and that's what I keep saying time and time again, is that if you have an idea, it's not necessarily the plot or the setting that makes the movie bearable or good or rememberable or remarkable. It's the execution.
Oh, definitely.
It is the writing of the script, the development of the characters, and the technical aspects and the direction that makes it a remarkable movie. And Alien has that in spades. The tension. I can remember watching it as a kid, and I've always had a vivid imagination. I am, as people know, I'm a writer, so I spend a lot of time thinking about how to construct worlds and how to make things fit, sort of, and how to really tap into horror is something that has fascinated me since I was a really, really vivid. I had a vivid imagination as a kid, and that made me not watch a lot of horror movies until I was a teenager. Then I started to watch horror movies, and that's
See, I always loved
what.
and the horror genre always fed that part of my imagination. I was more into the creepiness of it, the intensity, the idea of being alone. And some of my favorite films to this day are like really cramped, isolated things. Like the original Alien did a really good job. All the sets were dark and wet, and just you felt this. They were trapped. You know, you could have set it in a sewer
Yeah.
and they'd be just as trapped. You know, the only difference was they were even more so being in the depths of space.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. It's the tagline. Haha. See how I connected it there. The tagline of the movie was "In space, nobody can hear you scream," and that is correct, and it is important in that movie, and all the later franchises as well. I mean, or the later sequels of the franchises as well. That is kind of central. Which, yeah, we will get on to Prometheus, but that is one of the major problems I have with Prometheus. And have we gushed enough about the first movie now?
Let us bring let's slowly transition into tearing things apart by going on to James Cameron's Aliens, which took the claustrophobic wet feel of the original Aliens, really nice atmospheric horror movie, and turned it into
Terminator
a really
in
nice
space.
Yeah, and this is not me talking bad about Aliens. I love Aliens. I don't love James Cameron.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, the thing is, I like Aliens. I like it as a movie, as a sort of it gives me the feeling of a Space Marines movie. Basically, it's big guns, really wrecking crew way of approaching things, and it's just taking things to the next level. But
and he did do a good job with Ripley's arc, because she didn't just balls to the wall Space Marine with a rocket launcher doing a backflip shooting the alien in the face. She went and got a piece of construction equipment.
yeah,
You know, something she'd probably have experience with. You know,
Yes.
that's how
Yes.
she wins at the end of the day, is, basically space backhoe.
yeah,
Um,
and Yeah, but and it's that matter of using what you know, and it comes. That's why I don't mind the movie, because it makes sense in the universe. In the universe, in that universe that they have created, it makes sense. But still, it lost a lot of the feel of the first one. Claustrophobic sense of despair, that being alone out in the universe. I mean, they went away from the tagline in that movie, really, because there were several people who could have heard them scream.
Yeah, and it's on planet. Everyone can hear you one liner.
Yes,
Um,
yeah.
that's
Oh, don't
it
don't.
is.
You're gonna set me off early. I mean,
No,
fucking resurrection, man.
no, don't even. No, but it is a good film. It's enjoyable. It expands on Ripley's character without changing her. She's not suddenly a space marine. She's with Space Marines. She's pretty hardcore. They take the fact that one of her little side story things in the first film, when she was going home to her daughter,
Yeah,
and now it's 80 years later. Her daughter's gone. She finds a little survivor girl, and she gets a lot of strength from that as a character. You can see that it just because one of the other sub things in the early films, at least, to go along with the rape,
yeah.
is motherhood and children and stuff like that.
You see rape
Cameron's
in
film as
everything. You see rape and motherhood in
I
everything. That is your major draw.
yeah, don't get me started on Fern Gully, man.
Oh
Um,
man.
no, but no, and it hits all the right notes. It's a good action movie.
Yeah.
It really you miss that claustrophobic feel, but James Cameron came in and he made his own thing out of it, and it's just as classic as an action movie in the way the original film is a sci-fi horror.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
still that distrust of bigger entities ruling over your life, and it's still that slight tinge of technophobia, basically, that idea of being afraid of everything new, and or being afraid of science, basically, and it it rings true in a lot of ways, but it has less of a feel of Event Horizon, for instance, if I'm gonna compare it to sort of science fiction horror, and more of the, I know I'm swearing in church right now, the Starship Troopers kind of feel. But you understand what I mean. It's the
yeah, yeah.
gung ho one liner bullshit, taking not to the extreme. I mean, it's very well done. It's a popcorn flick with an extra tinge of coolness about
Okay.
it.
You
But
take sci-fi horror, you make it into sci-fi action. That's
yeah,
fine. It's a new director. It's a continuation of the story. He doesn't butcher the original characters.
no, and it's
But then
believable. It's
then
believable. Oh, David Fincher.
tragically time passed
Yeah,
and we
and
get
then
the third one.
and the it's not that I necessarily dislike Alien 3 either, because it's not. It's There are a
It
lot of good things about Alien 3, but I
the
can't
problem
remember any of them at the moment.
the problem with Alien 3 is Alien 3 should not have had Ripley in it. And that's probably sacrilege to Alien fans. But which I am a huge Alien fan. The first 3 DVDs I ever bought was the Alien trilogy.
Yeah,
Uh, so my problem with it is if you took Ripley out and you just had the alien in that setting,
yeah,
you know, maybe some other ship landed there or a supply ship was there if you needed other characters. but in the prison setting, that would have really worked as a solid alien film. But for
Yes,
some
yes,
reason,
yeah, but
it's an early victim of the need for continuity
yeah,
and familiarity in films,
yeah,
as opposed to writing a good story.
yeah. I agree to a certain extent, but still, it. I mean, how many years was it between Aliens and Alien? Is that another like a 60 to 80 years period? I can't remember. I think it is.
Um,
Because doesn't she end up being like 400 years at the end of everything?
well, I don't even know. I don't even know if they go into the time frame in three. I don't remember if they do.
No,
She's
okay.
just because I mean, it's back to a horror movie at that point,
Yes.
you know.
And it does play into the right. I still feel like yes, it plays into the right kind of feelings that you want from an alien movie. It kind of it goes back to the original and tries something a little bit more scary. They place a female character in like an all male prison, which is very appropriate for the. Well, if it had been done now, everybody see. See, it's true. It's rape culture. Yes, she's in an all-male prison where all the bad guys
Don't they
are.
even say one or two of them are in there for rape? Like
Oh
some of the
yeah, oh
guys, that's
yeah.
actually the crime they committed to get to sentence to this place.
I think
You know,
I
this
think
isn't.
one of the
None of these are
main
nice
guys.
guys.
No, none of them. Or and that is a problem I have. I mean, if they placed it in that in that prison system type of dealy, and they had mostly political prisoners or something like that, and then they unleashed the aliens upon them, you would have had more sympathy with the other characters apart from Ripley. And I think that after Aliens, they actually suffered a lot with creating sympathy for the other characters, for the other main people. I can't even remember most. I didn't rewatch Alien 3. I
I,
rewatched
I
Alien and also Alien Resurrection. I didn't even want to
I
touch
I remember
Prometheus.
a couple of the characters. I don't remember their names. I think the film really suffered going in, and I think a lot of us that were fans of the first two films,
Yeah.
especially fans of the second film, will be were just thrown off by the fact that right off the bat, Newt and Hicks are dead.
Yeah.
Uh, Spoiler alert. Um, you know, they're just dead from the beginning of the film. And that's why I think it would have worked better as its own story, because you had this other story where these people fought life and limb to escape and survive, and then you immediately kill them at the beginning of the next film just so you could, because you had a different. I get the feeling it was a different script, maybe for an alien idea, and uh,
They
someone said,
had
"Okay,
to.
let's fork cut."
Yeah. Let's bring in Sigourney Weaver and hope everything works out.
Yeah, and I love Sigourney Weaver. She
Oh
is a
yeah,
great
yeah. Oh,
actress, and
fantastic.
everybody in this film did a good job. Even the guy who played, I don't know if you remember, what was it? What did they call him? 88 or something like that?
Yeah, 88. Yeah.
Yeah, because somebody saw his IQ score. Um,
Yeah, I'm trying to
and then
find the actual
he was one of the
character
guards.
names. Yeah, yeah, I remember him. He actually doesn't appear on the cast list as 88, but I believe that was his nickname, but I can't
Uh,
remember.
was it Andrews? Brian Glover there? I think that was him.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I'm
That
looking
is
at the list.
yeah. That's the one. Yeah,
And uh, one of my favorites, Charles S. Dutton, was in there, and I remember a couple scenes from the movie. there was the scene where the alien was coming up to her in the shower, and she first realized there was
Yeah.
something wrong. And then when they were trying to trap it, and Charles S. Dutton, who's this repentant criminal, but he's made no bones about whatever it is he did, he felt he deserved to never get out of prison. Uh, fighting the alien hand to hand and yelling,
Yeah.
"Is that as hard as you can bite?" Uh, and stuff like that. It's got some great moments in this film, and it's a good film on its own. I just think it suffered from forced continuity.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
my opinion.
And well, we got to talk about it at some point. And
And speaking of suffering from forced
oh,
continuity, I'll let you take it away since you rewatched this giant pile of garbage recently.
oh God, there's so many. Here's the thing, okay? There are so many really, really, really good elements with a setting of this. The idea of cloning Ripley to get a hold, or cloning the remains of Ripley to get a hold of the alien she's carrying, or she was carrying at the time of her death. And the idea of it having gone like a long period of time. So
Yeah, it was
that
supposed to be. I'm looking it up. It's supposed to be
200,
200 years.
200 years. So she's almost 300 years at this point, or around 300 years. And the thing is, it's not a
Look,
it's not a bad fucking concept. Okay? It's not a bad concept to have this sort of ragtag, almost Firefly like, and I see a lot of similarities with the Firefly crew, and this crew, the crew of the Alien Resurrection movie. The
look.
Yeah.
There is a term I want to bring into popular parlance, and it's Whedoned.
Yeah.
And Josh Whedoned all over this film. He Whedoned everywhere. Ripley
Oh,
she gets a mega dose of the Whedon.
yeah.
Uh, you know,
She
oh God,
there
it's
are
so
so many bad things in this oh, it's just the problem is, as I said, the concepts are there, and the concepts seem very much like the ones of the director, which I completely forgot his name right now, but I'll find it.
hold on, I'm on the thing.
Yeah, Jean-Pierre Jeunet. He is he's done some of my favorite French movies. Okay,
Oh,
he's
City
done
of Lost Children.
yeah, City of Lost Children, and um, Delicatessen, which is an amazingly funny flick.
I
The
I
same,
I
the
am
same,
happy to say I've actually seen that. I actually have seen both of those films,
yeah,
and they are both incredible.
yeah, and also the movie that he made after Alien Resurrection is not bad either. Amelia of Montmartre. It was a pretty awesome flick. Very easily done. The fabulous uh, uh, Amelia. I can't remember what the English title is, but the thing is that it's so clearly the problem with Alien Resurrection is that they've taken two people that are good at their craft and just plopped them together. It's very studio driven, and
Oh yeah,
sort
it's
of
it's
in the hope of sort of creating a massive fucking. I mean, at this point, Joss Whedon had just written and gotten a lot of success with Toy Story. He'd written the script for Toy Story, and he had in the past written Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, the original movie, and he was just starting up Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV series. So he was at that point he was a studio darling. So they gave him the Alien Resurrection script and paired him up with somebody they thought, oh, he's going to make this really artistic looking alien movie and it would be awesome. But instead, you got a studio run fucking train wreck. And it's so obvious. And the worst part is the fucking dialogue in that movie is so annoying that I...
It's Whedon. And I know there's some fans, and they may tune out the second I say this, but he's done his bit. He is literally a one-trick pony at this point.
And
he can always surprise me.
Yeah,
he's a good director.
Yeah, and he's a decent director and he's a decent script writer if he has the ideas himself. If he's not too much of a studio run thing. Because the ideas of Whedon, the fucking science fiction popcorn easy digestible dialogue, easy digestible situations, should have directed fucking Alien Resurrection, which was supposed to be a sort of a reinvigoration or an invigoration of the franchise. No,
you could tell Fox wanted to pass the Ripley baton over to Winona Ryder.
Yes,
with her character.
Yeah.
And I just even looking back on that film makes it 1,000 times worse because I see how much of it is just cliche Whedon writing.
Yes.
And then you have this weird visual director on top of that, and then you have studio control, and you just have this mid-90s mess.
Yeah. It's
but it's no Prometheus, right, Jan?
Oh God, yeah, but I don't want to get into that just yet. I want to harp a little bit more on Whedon because Prometheus is actually made by a director I respect, and Alien Resurrection is also made by a director I respect. So it's kind of really annoying, but you can't sort of acquit the director when it's that bad of a movie either, because you can tell that they don't mix the two styles. They don't mix at all. You have this very artsy way of doing it, and I love it. By the way, some of the visuals in Alien Resurrection are really good, but then you get these half-baked ideas. Oh, let's have a man alien thing come out because she gave the alien queen the gift of humanity, and then humanity stared down its mother and killed its mother. It's so Whedon-esque that you just want to grab his head and scream into his ear, "That's not always what happens, you fucking retard."
I get the feeling from watching Whedon's film and the way that he's always got at least one, and I don't use this word casually, fetishized female badass, if not more.
Yeah, and there are two in this. I mean, the thing is that, yeah, Ripley, there are a couple of scenes that could have been done so much better. I mean, first of all, Brad Dourif. Why the fuck? I know it's your character that does this, and it's not you who decided this. It's probably Joss Whedon, and the director wasn't good enough to stand on his own 2 feet and tell him, fucking hell, this idiotic. Why the fuck would with a massive research center that had everything to lose house 3 fucking aliens in the same cage? Because you gotta remember, that's how they get out. They turn on themselves and kill one of them. And how didn't they fucking know this already? I mean, this is 200 years after the original. They seem to know a lot about these fucking animals, apart from the fact that you shouldn't house these fuckers in the same fucking cage. And oh God, why would you
down,
even
man.
write that drivel? I mean, it's so Deus Ex Machina. You could throw a fucking it just.
Well, see, why wouldn't you, given that they cloned Ripley and she was part alien, why not turn her into the bad guy
Yeah.
and dump the infant? I think that's what it's called. I forget what it's called. It's like the infant or the child, or they call it something asinine like that.
Yeah.
Dump that and just make hybrid Ripley
Yeah.
the servant of the actual queen.
Why
because
would
she's
you?
not human,
Why would
she's
you
part
have
alien.
another species dominate the ones that you're supposed to recreate? Why would you? Why would you do that? Why would you assume that that is the way forward? Why not something human that you could actually control? It's
Well,
yeah. It's just filled with idiotic ways of doing it, and it annoys
I've
me.
not seen you go off this hard on a film.
No, not even fucking Phantom Menace got it this bad. And it's
Well,
it's weird because and the second thing that really annoys me, why the fuck did they keep alive Ripley 7? Why would they allow that torture of a living being? Just it's the typical bullshit that Whedon does sometimes.
well,
If he's gonna
it's the
have
whole
bad
the villain
guys,
scale, man.
yeah. If he's gonna have bad guys, they're gonna be bad guys. They're not gonna have any justification for doing what they're doing because they're so bad guys. Dude, come on. The fact that she walks into the lab where they keep the specimens from the last cloning attempt should be enough. You don't need to see a fucking alive Ripley 7 and then have that freak her out. It's enough to see the Ripley 7's sort of on formaldehyde. That
Look,
should be it. That
we have to face it, and I'm going to lead into Prometheus because we're getting a little long in the tooth here.
yeah, I know. My fault.
No, it's all right. I know you don't like to go too long, but to get into Prometheus, scientists so far in the alien universe, I think scientist may be their word for idiot savant because every single scientist in is dumb as a bag of hammers.
Yeah. You broke up
really
a bit. You broke up a bit there, but I got the gist of it. Every scientist in the Alien series is dumb as a bag of hammers.
Well, especially in Prometheus, it's like the more scientists you get together, the dumber they become.
Yeah. And I'm gonna be quite honest. I think Prometheus is there's here. I'm not gonna defend Ridley Scott for that, piece of shit. But I think it's gotten to a point that you kind of need to forgive him for that fuck up, because it's not necessarily badly written. It's not bad dialogue. It has a certain feeling to it, the entire movie. But yeah, the characters They are
it just didn't work.
archetypes. They are too much of an archetype. I mean, the young, naive female scientist who buys into something that an old dude tells her, and then you can read pretty much everything that happens after that throughout the
Yeah, I
movie.
mean, I don't know what happened there. I know that David is my favorite character in it.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
David Fassbender,
Yeah.
Fassbender just
It's the only reason I'm gonna
always
watch the
impresses.
Assassin's Creed movie.
He
Michael
always
Fassbender.
impresses me.
Michael Fassbender. Man, it's the only reason to watch the X-Men movie as well this summer. Michael Fassbender. It's weird. He's just awesome. He grabs you.
And that just made me decide what my suggestion for the week will be when we get to that. Um, but yeah, well, Prometheus, I enjoy the film, but something about it is just a mess of a film.
Yeah.
Everything in it, if you look at it as, except for the characters, if you look at it as individual parts, it's a beautifully shot film. The story's neat. The story itself, not the execution of the story, but the story itself is neat. The ideas behind it.
Yeah.
It's just something went wrong in there. Something in the translation just fell apart before, you know, I don't know if it was the editing or just the characters were too flat or
I
studio
think I
meddling.
think maybe not so much studio meddling, but I think his personal life affected that production in a huge way. I mean, you got to remember his brother. I think it was at that time his brother committed suicide. Was just around Prometheus.
I'm not 100% sure when that happened. I do remember reading about that. But um, I know you are like you said, you're a big respecter of Ridley Scott's work. Well, next
Yeah.
year he's taking another swipe at it.
Yes.
I'm looking on IMDb,
Yeah.
and next year we are to expect Alien Covenant,
Yes.
starring Michael Fassbender and looks like Watterson. What has she been in? Inherent Vices, Steve Jobs. Oh, she was in Michael Clayton. That was a beast of a movie.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Michael Clayton, that's one of my favorite Clooney films. Um, okay, should be interesting. We'll see what he does next year. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
kind
gonna be. It's not. Okay, Prometheus was released the year his brother committed suicide, so I don't know if that affected him at all, but it's just yeah, I know his following projects sort of bear the brunt of that sorrow, so it's just it feels like it was rushed and that something disturbed the production in
well,
general.
I mean, he could have been caught up with the tragedy with his family, and somebody else went back some filler scenes and just threw what they had together. You never know. The studio isn't gonna bang, and I doubt he ever will.
Yeah,
Uh,
well,
about
it was released before it happened. So, in that case, it would have been the preceding depression that Tony Scott had before he killed himself that would have affected the movie in some way. But I don't think necessarily that either. I think he wanted to explain some of the backstory for Alien, and he couldn't manage it because he had too much to tell. I think he wanted to
too
create
too broad of a scope.
yeah, and he wanted to create some sort of mythos around a movie that really didn't have a mythos to begin with. And therefore, it wasn't that much. It wasn't, we need to know where these aliens are coming from. It was just, oh, holy fuck, these acid spitting, acid leaking fucking aliens are coming after us and they're gonna kill us. Let's get the fuck out of here. It was rarely that mythos, that mystery behind it, that you get from other movies where I need to know the prequel for this. I need to be told this story. And I think
Yeah,
that's where it fell flat on his face.
it's like I need to be shown the exit. I need to get away from the giant acid spitting monster.
Yeah. It is, and it's sad, really, because I would have loved to seen. I would actually, after I saw that movie, I would have actually loved to see the the follow up, the sequel for it, and I don't think we'll
Well,
ever see it.
technically, Covenant is.
Yes, I know.
Uh,
Apparently, it's supposed to be. So, yeah, we'll
but
wait
I think
wait
it's
and
going to go
see.
back to its roots more.
Yes, yes, and that wouldn't be a bad thing at all. That would not be a bad thing at all. Um,
Nope.
yeah. So next year is Covenant, and I'm actually looking forward to it. I'll
I didn't know. I didn't even know about it till I was like, oh, what was that character's name? And it's like Alien Covenant. What?
yeah,
Click.
and and that is preceded by the Alien Project with Neil Blomkamp connected to it. So that is the Alien 5 movie, which will again feature Ripley in some capacity. So that should be good. That
Oh,
should
it'll
be
be
really
interesting.
good.
I like
Anyways,
Blomkamp.
yeah, Neil
You got any
Blomkamp, he knows how to do it. It will be what?
You got a movie suggestion for our viewers this week?
I do. I mentioned it a little earlier. It's not Starship Troopers, but it's one of my favorite science fiction horror movies, and it's Event Horizon. Go watch it. It was overlooked at the box office, and I think it has less of a cult following than it deserves, in my opinion.
I'll double down with Jan there. That is a good, fun horror movie. And if you like terrors from beyond human understanding, good place to start. Uh, but my film, I'm gonna go a little indie on you. You brought up Michael Fassbender, and it reminded me of a movie he was in that it was fun and weird, and I just loved it. It was called Frank.
Oh
He
yeah,
plays a indie musician who wears a giant mask over his
yeah,
entire
yeah,
head
yeah,
and never takes it off.
yeah. It is a
Uh,
fun flick. That's a good suggestion.
and once again, that you'll see if you've seen Fassbender in anything else, and you see him in I I hold him in pretty high regard.
Yeah,
The guy's got some range.
yeah.
Uh,
That is true.
but
That is true.
I guess that is it for the tagline. This has
Yeah,
been Gene the Angry Penguin.
yeah. But before we end it, I'm gonna post
I can
a new. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. I was wondering if you're having any technical difficulties again, but I just want to let people know I'll release another vote tomorrow or later today. Oh, it's getting kind of late, so maybe tomorrow. Over 3 new things me and Gene could discuss. But me and Gene are going to agree upon it after the podcast, which the alternative will be. Now you can end it, buddy.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. This has been Gene the Angry Penguin and Jan the Meerkat Monarch, who you can catch on Fridays on the League of Evil podcast, Unsolicited Opinions, along with Artemis and Dr. Evil, and pretty much a rotating panel of random weirdos and friends of our little family here.
Yes.
Well, thank y'all for tuning in.
Bye.